Those were fun
Okay,
days.
We got Chris. Let's get to Chris here.
Let's bring in. You want to do it?
Chris Manning.
Yeah.
Let's
Oh,
get
yeah.
him. Chris, thanks for joining us, man.
Chris,
Cavs
what are the
draft
Cavs
night.
doing at 14?
Let's rock.
What are we doing tonight?
Lots of options. I mean, I also want to know more about Jason Lloyd. Almost bribed a cop and didn't go to jail. Like that's really what
I didn't bribe him. The
right
karate champion tried bribing him with a jelly
And it was a
donut.
bear claw.
Okay, you're right there. You're going down for that. Unbelievable stuff. But there's a lot of options. I think they could trade back. I think there's a bunch of guys they could take at 14. I think they could, take a really developmental guy. Try to take a Baji and get a guy that can play right now. 14 is a spot where you don't control anything, and that puts them in an interesting spot to see how stuff ultimately plays out in front of them.
When you say trade back, any insight to that, or have you heard anybody talk about that, or you're just saying that that's an option?
It's a little bit of both, right? Like there's a lot of talk about maybe Memphis wants to trade off some of their salary. There's some talk about how Denver maybe wants to get off some of their salary. They have guys like Monty Morris who are available. Memphis has Anthony Melton. You also look at the Houston Rockets. They have 3 first-round picks. I can't imagine they're using 3 first-round picks in this draft. It just doesn't make a ton of sense for a team that has a lot of young guys already. So are they going to maybe consolidate those 2 picks, trade up to get a guy they really like at 14, and the Cavs say, look, we're not getting exact guy we maybe preferred at the top of our board here, but we don't think there's a big difference between 14 and 2 picks later in the first round. And I think particularly if they could go get a veteran, if D'Anthony Melton is ultimately a guy they could get, or Monty Morris from Denver, solve that kind of backup guard issue, find something that fits what they need, I think that could make a lot of sense. Because I don't think there's going to be a big difference in terms of 14 and 19 or 14 or something in the 20s, right? 14 is a fine pick. It's not going to be a big difference once you get later on, I don't think.
How much of this planning do you think they're making based on what they think they're going to do with Collin Sexton, and what kind of a difference does he make in their decision?
I mean, it has to factor in. I mean, Collin Sexton, there's reporting out there that he wants $20 million a year. You talk to people, and it seems like 50-50 on if he comes back or not, and that complicates it. But he's a guy that's going to take up a lot of salary. You also have a need at guard, and if they go get a backup point guard to kind of replace the Rubio role that they had last year, Monty Morris would be that kind of play. Mm-hmm. Well, are you going to want to pay Collin Sexton $20 million a year when you already have a backup point guard and you don't know if you can play with that guy? Right? There are roster construction questions built into this, and Sexton, just because he's a guy I don't think they can lose for nothing. He's a guy that I don't think, I think maybe even a little underrated at this point, but certainly has some limitations. There's a lot kind of going into where his restricted free agency is headed, and he's going to be part of this decision-making process. And you can bet that they have a lot of options kind of in front of them as they're thinking about this.
Sexton, Okoro, Cedi, 3 first-round picks, and Moondoggy to whatever the hell his name is.
Moondoggy.
Yeah, what is his name again?
Moondog.
Moondoggy. Who gives a rat's ass?
Moon pie.
Moon pie, whatever. Hair pie, doesn't matter.
Okay.
Listen, you trading them all to the Spurs for DeJounte?
You might need to throw in 6
Anyways, would you?
DeJounte Murray? Huh? Are you in on that trade?
Bull needs a seatbelt right now.
Yeah. You got to give him maybe you got to sweeten with a Swenson's burger, kind of really get
Give
them
him whatever it takes, as long as I don't have to trade the big 3. Can we get him?
Well, that's the problem. You're going to have to trade one of them.
No, bleep the Spurs.
No, I don't think at this time one of Garland, Mobley, or Allen is dealt. I think if you're looking at the Murray trade, he's extension eligible, which means you have to be committed to paying him, and maybe that complicates it for San Antonio. I would give up a lot for him. I think he's really good. He's a guy that can play off with Garland. He solves your backup point guard issue. He can cover defensively for Garland. I think JB would play him a bunch. Okay.
What is wrong with you?
I'm trying to figure it out.
I'm so confused. Why is he laughing?
I'm trying to figure this out. He's proposed this trade 15
Mike
times.
goes by him.
It is. It was a bit inappropriate.
I don't know what.
It's okay though. Listen,
Keep going. Focus.
I got it. It's fine.
Bull, you're in timeout. No questions.
You're not going to tell us why you're laughing?
I can't. No.
Based on, and
we
we
should
don't,
move
and
on.
we're never
It's my
taking a
fault.
break. Based on what you saw last year from the
There's
Cavs,
no rules to this.
is
Do whatever you
anybody
want.
going to take a big step up for the Cavs this year from last year? Do you think, based on watching them last year? Do you think somebody has a chance to really improve?
The obvious answer is Evan Mobley. I don't think we need to overthink this. That guy is a superstar waiting to happen. There's creation ability, there's ability to get better on defense, to be more effective as a 5, and he was already kind of decent as a 5, at least as the numbers go. Like, that's the guy you're banking on improving. You're hoping, like, Okoro can be better, right? You're hoping that, like, you can carve some more out of Lamar Stevens or something. Like, Karis LeVert isn't as bad as he was for part of last year once they got him in a trade. You're hoping that stuff. But the answer is Evan Mobley. Like, this team is going to go where Mobley, Garland, and Allen take them. And it's really, to me, more about Mobley and Garland than it is anybody else.
Hey, Chris, have you done any mock drafts? Oh, go back to that last lower third that you had up. Have you done any mock drafts? and if so, do you have Branham going to the Cavs? Mock
you know,
drafts.
I did make a nice typo, but yeah, I did go Branham to the Cavs in that one, just because I think he makes a ton of sense. I think he's a guy that if his shooting at Ohio State is real, and that is like a thing you believe is going to be real, and you believe you can develop him, like, he makes a ton of sense. He would be a piece that fits in between the guys that they have. He's a guy that I don't think is ever going to be like the lead guy or need to be the lead guy. He gets some Chris Middleton comparison. I know you guys had Rafael Barlow on this week. He really likes Brandon as a Middleton kind of guy. So, like, I think Brandon would make a ton of sense. I think if you're going to pick someone at 14, he's a guy that I think absolutely should be one of the leaders to be picked at 14 if he's there, and if you believe you can develop him properly.
One thing I'm looking at is, they got Karis LeVert last year. And, you watch him down the stretch. I don't know. His game is kind of weird to me. It's unorthodox. Yeah. And it seemed like he'd get to the rim, do 3 or 4 pump fakes, and turn around and do like a spin. I'm like, what is Karis LeVert doing right now? Is Karis LeVert going to be a long-term option for the Cavs or moving forward? Or what do they do in terms of him and Collin Sexton?
He's going to go into last year of his contract this year. He's extension eligible. He went out of his way in his postseason media availability to be like, hey, I'd like an extension. Like, I think he is fine for what he is. Like, he's going to be a serviceable NBA player. I don't think you should lock him into the core. I mean, I don't think I would commit to him right now. I think you need to see it this year. And if you told me they don't want to pay him and Sexton, going forward long term, I think that's right. I think if they take someone like Branham in this draft, they're like, someone like Ryan Rollins from Toledo was a more long-term developmental piece that fits that same kind of mold. Like, you could say, okay, we're going to use him for a year, face him out, and go in this other direction, and then we'll see what happens, obviously, with Sexton and see where that goes. I don't think they're paying both of them. That's a lot of money for those guys as you're planning for the Garland big contract, you're planning for Mobley's contract down the line, and you have other stuff to do.
The other person that's been associated with the Cavs in this draft is Abaji. You don't seem as high on him. How do you feel about that?
No, I like Abaji. I wonder if at 14, because if you're Cleveland, I think if you put, Kobe Altman doesn't talk to the media very much, and that's fine. But if you looked at the long-term plan of this, you're hoping that this is the last time you're going to pick this high for a while, right? You don't have your first-round pick next year because you traded it in LeVert trade. You'll have your picks after that. By then, you're hoping that Mobley and Garland and Allen are taking you to into the 20s, into the upper 20s, right? Like, you're hoping that as they age, you get better. I think there's an argument to be made that Abaji, as good as he was in college, as much as I think he would fit a need this team has, it's maybe worth taking a swing for someone a little younger with more upside. It's why there's some Ousmane Dieng links to him. I don't know if he's getting that far, but that guy's not going to play this year. But there's a reason that guy might make some sense for them, because if they want to swing big, Abaji is kind of the guy that's like the anti-swing big pick in this class.
Interesting. All right, hey, Chris, listen, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for the information. We appreciate it very much.